Hi, welcome to the Midlife Synthesist. Let's get started. So first off, I want to start this video with a huge thank you to all the 500 people that have subscribed to this channel. I hope to stay the course and keep making videos that you enjoy and that I really earn the time that you spend here with me. So I really appreciate it, and a big thanks. If this is your first time on my channel, big welcome. So, as some of you know, I've been making a series of comparisons between different kinds of samplers. And today what I wanted to compare was the OP-1 with the Digitakt. The thing is, I've been getting a lot of questions about how the samplers stack up. On face value, you might think that these two things are not very comparable. But if we just look at the samplers, they actually are pretty similar. Now, as to the question of which one I would prefer, that would be like asking me which one of my kids is my favorite one, which I'm not going to tell you. But we can make a fair comparison to see which one you think is best. We're going to do a blind test to measure the sampler capability of both the OP-1 and the Digitakt against each other. Beyond all the technicalities, what I want to do is a blind test to see which one sounds better. Now, for all of you who follow Ricky Tinez, which is just an amazing YouTuber and musician, I'm going to be ripping off his idea of the Octatrack versus the Digitakt. And I'm going to be recording samples on the OP-1 and on the Digitakt and tweaking a few things. But I'm not going to tell you which one is which, and you have to decide which one you like more. At the end of the video, I'll tell you which machine was which, so stay tuned. Both of these machines are, in their very own right, amazing little portable music powerhouses. On one hand, you have the OP-1, which is a self-contained synthesis engine, sampler, 4-track tape recorder, multiple effects, and its many quirky sequencers. The Digitakt, on the other hand, at least to me, is a refined and distilled version of the Electron Way. Many think of it as a sort of handicapped, lesser version of the Octatrack, but to me at least, it's more of a focused and intuitive version of that same machine. It has the famous Electron sequencer, a great sampler, the ability to use waveforms as oscillators, so actually you could use it as sort of a digital synth, and all wrapped up in this little compact form factor with an easy to use interface. If anything, both of these machines are very loved by the music making community, so it's no surprise to think that a lot of people might want to know which one is for them. First, let's have a few technical aspects and get that out of the way. Even though both machines can receive a stereo input, they both sum up the stereo signal and convert this into a mono sample. In the case of the OP-1, you actually get 3 samplers. First you get the synth sampler, which can sample up to 6 seconds. And what the synth engine will do is it will grab the entire sample and make copies of it across the entire keyboard, pitch shifting it so that it goes chromatically on each one of the keys. Then you get the drum sampler, which samples up to 12 seconds and will automatically chop up the entire sample without touching the pitch or affecting any of its qualities, but will distribute each one of these slices across the entire keyboard. And finally, you get the tape recorder, which functions as any other tape recorder would. You get 4 tracks and up to 6 minutes in total. The maximum amount of samples you can have on the OP-1 is not limited by the internal memory, but by the sheer number of samples you have. So you're able to sample a total of 42 on the synth sampler, 42 on the drum sampler, and you get the 4 tracks on the tape recorder. The sound sources for sampling on the OP-1 can be either the internal sampling from the sounds coming from the OP-1, it can be the external input either by the built-in mic or via the 3.5mm jack, or finally it can be the FM radio. In terms of audio quality, the sample rate on the OP-1 is 16-bit 44.1 kHz. Similarly on the Digitakt, the audio sources can be either the internal recording of the sounds produced in the Digitakt or external recording, either mono or stereo. The maximum sample recording is up to 33 seconds, even though you can upload longer samplers via the computer. The maximum samples available on the Digitakt are limited by the internal memory. In this case, you get a 1GB hard drive and 64MB of RAM, which basically means that you can store up to 1GB of total samples on the Digitakt, but you can only access 64MB per project, as limited by the RAM. Also, the Digitakt samples in 16-bit 48 kHz. So both of these machines offer you multiple ways to mangle and shape your sound. Both offer the ability to establish start and end points, loop points, and playback modes like one-shot, reverse, or looping. You get 1 LFO on both of these machines and the ability to pitch shift, but no time stretching. Digging in a little deeper though, the differences do become more apparent. Where on the OP-1 you only get 1 envelope for the amplifier, on the Digitakt you get 2 envelopes, one for the filter and one for the amplifier. In terms of effects, on the Digitakt you get an amazing reverb, a great delay, Bit Crush, and Overdrive. And you can use these all at once. On the OP-1, you get multiple effects, but you can only use one at a time. And I've said this before, they're not my favorite effects. Now remember that on both of these machines, thanks to their internal sampling, you could do a resampling method like on the SP404 to start stacking up effects. So if you know what you're doing and you have a pretty good idea where you want to go, you can actually have a huge layer of effects on both of these samples. Be aware though that on the OP-1, each one of the tracks on the tape recorder has a mono output. So even though you can pan them to get a stereo field image, each one of the tracks is in mono. The Digitakt's effects are stereo, so the stereo field image on the Digitakt just sounds huge. So with that out of the way, let's get into the nitty-gritty of it. Just looking at the numbers, the Digitakt with its 48 kHz should come out on top of the OP-1, and this is what I find interesting, because sometimes the numbers are not everything. I'm not sure if this actually makes any difference, but to me at least, the 1/4" inputs on the Digitakt give me a lot more confidence than the 3.5mm jack on the OP-1. However, the Digitakt normalizes the sample as it goes in, so people say that it sometimes colors the original sample, which may be a good or bad thing depending on your tastes. The OP-1 on the other hand is famous because its compressor and its drive just gives it a little magic, and usually things just sound amazing on the OP-1, so it's really a toss-up of which one's going to come out on top. So each instrument is going to be sampled directly into the OP-1 and into the Digitakt. On the first test, where we're just going to see audio quality, I'm also going to do a reference recording directly into Ableton through my interface. The objective is keeping this as scientific as possible, so we're going to have the Ableton track as a reference, and then I'm going to show you the samples of the Digitakt on the OP-1 as a machine A or B, without telling you which one is which. Then I'm going to grab these same samples and I'm going to start tweaking them. I'm going to do some pitch shifting, reversing, and you be the judge of which one sounds better. As you hear these tests, try to guess which one is which, and tell me in the comments below what was your guess. Let's do this. Okay, so right off the bat, wow, I was not expecting that at all. Machine 1 sounds almost, I had to go back and check because Machine 1 almost sounds as if it was pitch shifted. And no, it's just the normal feed coming out of the machine. At least on the straight up test, without any pitch shifting, I'd say I'd have to go with Machine B. I'd say that Machine B sounds more like a direct recording, whereas Machine A already sounds like it has some tweaking on it. I think that Machine A sounds a bit brighter than Machine B. Machine B is a bit more exact, but darker. And I don't know about you, but I think it's a bit more muffled than Machine A. So what's really obvious here is the loss of the stereo field image. And if you have a good pair of headphones on, then you'll definitely hear the difference. You definitely do lose a lot from going from that beautiful stereo sound to a mono sound in this example. So in the pitch shifting, I felt that Machine A was a bit shriller, like a bit brighter, and it had like a rattle to it. I don't know if you heard it. It was more noticeable to me when we were downshifting by 12 semitones. I definitely thought that Machine B was more musical when pitch shifted. It is still a bit more muffled than Machine A, but I think it's a bit more usable. It's easier on the ears. Yeah, so at least in reverse, I think I prefer Machine A this time around. I think it was a bit smoother. The transitions were not as noticeable as on Machine B, where I heard a lot more clicking and popping. I'm not sure if you heard that in the YouTube compression, but I definitely felt that the Machine A was smoother in this test. Okay, so first off, I just gotta say, I got the Sub 25 a few days ago and I'm loving this synth. The Machine A, I think, sounds a bit fuller. In this instance, the Machine B sounds brighter, but it does have a clearer sound. You can make out the frequencies a lot better. Okay, so I definitely think that Machine A, when pitch shifted down, breaks up a lot more than Machine B. And you can hear that metallic rattle that we heard before, and I think it's more pronounced now. Machine B, I think, is a lot more usable in musical terms. Actually, if you apply a low-end filter to that, I think it might actually sound really cool. I actually did another test, which I'm not showing here, where I pitch shifted this down minus 24 semitones, and Machine A just completely breaks up. And Machine B, though it still doesn't sound great, it holds up a lot more than Machine A. So at least on these lower end frequencies, I think that the Machine B algorithm handles it a lot better. Okay, so even in reverse, Machine A, I find, keeps more of that low end, but that also results in it being a lot muddier to my taste. Machine B might lose a bit of that low end, but that in turn I think gives you a grittier, more driven sound, and I think it keeps more with the original character of the sample. And in that aspect, at least in this last test, I'm going with Machine B. So that's it, back to the studio. Okay, so big finale. Machine A was the OP-1, and Machine B was the Digitakt. Did you guess right? Tell me in the comments below which one you think sounded better. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a great day.